Imagine a world where a war was started because of a cow, a country declared war on itself, and a bridge collapsed because someone simply forgot to measure it properly. Sounds fake, right? But these events actually happened. Stick around, because by the end, you'll be amazed that history can be this bizarre. History is full of moments that are clever, shocking, and sometimes tragic. But there are also events so unusual, they make you question reality. Today we're exploring 10 historical events that are so strange, they might make you laugh or scratch your head in disbelief. Some of these are little known, some are infamous, but all of them show just how unpredictable humans can be. And trust me, you'll want to hear every single one. 1. The Great Emu War, Australia, 1932. Yes, you heard that right, a war against birds. After World War I, Australian farmers faced a massive emu problem. Thousands of emus were destroying crops, so the government sent soldiers with machine guns to control them. But here's the kicker. The emus were too fast and too smart. They avoided the bullets, and the soldiers eventually withdrew. So, technically, the emus won. Crazy, right? Can you imagine losing a war to birds? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Would you even try to fight them? 2. The Dancing Plague, France, 1518. In July 1518 in Strasbourg, France, a strange event occurred. A woman started dancing in the streets, and she couldn't stop. Within days, dozens of people joined her. Historians say some danced for weeks, and a few even died from exhaustion. The cause is still unclear. Some think it was mass hysteria, others suggest contaminated food. Whatever the reason, this dancing plague remains one of the strangest events in history. 3. The Cadaver Synod, Rome, 897. Imagine dragging a dead person to court, literally. In 897, Pope Stephen VI put the corpse of his predecessor, Pope Formosus, on trial. The dead pope was found guilty of crimes he supposedly committed while alive. His body was stripped of robes and thrown into the Tiber River. Why did this happen? Power struggles in the church were intense back then. Honestly, it sounds like a dark comedy more than history. If you thought your family arguments were intense, this one might take the cake. 4. The Defenestrations of Prague, Bohemia, 1618. The word defenestration literally means throwing someone out of a window, and that's exactly what happened in Prague in 1618. Protestant nobles threw 2 Catholic officials and their secretary out of a castle window. Surprisingly, they survived. This event helped spark the 30 Years' War. It's wild to think a single act of tossing people out a window could contribute to a massive conflict. 5. War declared on the Netherlands by the UK by mistake, 1795. In 1795, the United Kingdom reportedly declared war on the Netherlands even though they were already at peace. A mix-up in communication and old alliances created a diplomatic mess. The war didn't last long, but it shows how even governments can act on confusing paperwork. Sometimes mistakes in history can be as strange as intentional decisions. 6. The Great Molasses Flood, Boston, 1919. Boston in 1919 faced a sticky disaster. A huge molasses storage tank burst, and a wave of molasses rushed through the streets. People, horses, and buildings were swept along. It might sound like a funny story, but 21 people died and many were injured. Scientists later blamed poor construction and unusual weather. A flood of syrup might sound like a cartoon, but it was very real and tragic. 7. The London Beer Flood, London, 1814. Another strange and dangerous event involved beer, but not in the way you might expect. In 1814, at the Moo & Company Brewery in London, a massive vat of beer collapsed. Over 1.4 million liters of beer gushed out into the streets, creating a wave that swept away anything in its path. Buildings were damaged, and sadly, 8 people lost their lives. Horses, carts, and people were caught in the flood, turning what should have been a celebration into a disaster. It's almost unbelievable to imagine streets filled with beer like a river, but it really happened. This event reminds us that even ordinary things, like beer, can cause serious consequences when accidents happen. 8. Operation Paul Bunyan, the tree that started a crisis, 1976. In the Korean demilitarized zone, a poplar tree caused an international incident. North Korean soldiers killed 2 U.S. soldiers trimming the tree. The U.S. responded with Operation Paul Bunyan, sending a huge team with chainsaws, helicopters, and military force to cut the tree. It was basically a show of strength over a tree. History sometimes proves that small things can spark massive reactions. 9. The Pig War, United States versus Britain, 1859. This one sounds like a cartoon. A war started over a pig. On the San Juan Islands, an American farmer shot a British-owned pig that was eating his potatoes. The argument escalated so much that soldiers from both nations were deployed. Luckily, no human lives were lost, and it was peacefully resolved later. Still, it's a perfect example of how a small incident can nearly start an international conflict. 10. The Lost Colony of Roanoke, North Carolina, 1587. One of the most enduring mysteries in history is the disappearance of the Roanoke colony, often called the Lost Colony. In 1587, over 100 settlers arrived on Roanoke Island, in what is now North Carolina. They set up homes, farms, and even left signs of everyday life. But when a supply ship returned a few years later, the entire colony had vanished. The only clue left behind was the word Croatoan carved into a post, with no other signs of struggle or destruction. Historians and archaeologists have been puzzled for centuries. Some suggest the settlers may have been wiped out by disease or famine. Others think they could have been attacked by local Native American tribes. There's also a theory that they moved to a nearby island or tried to integrate with local communities, but no definitive evidence has ever been found. It's strange to think that a whole group of people could simply disappear, leaving behind no one to tell their story. The mystery continues to capture imaginations today, inspiring books, movies, and countless theories. Have you ever wondered what really happened to them? Could they have started a new life somewhere else? Or did something far more tragic occur? Share your thoughts. I'd love to read your ideas and theories in the comments. Conclusion. From emus winning a war to beer floods and dancing plagues, history is full of events that seem almost too strange to be true. But as we've seen, human decisions, natural forces, and sometimes pure chance can create stories that are stranger than fiction. These events remind us that history isn't just dates and battles. It's full of surprises, humor, and mystery. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're curious about more weird historical stories, check out our next video. You won't believe what comes next.